Lesson 9.6, we're learning how to solve equations, systems of equations by graphing. The essential question for this lesson is, how does representing functions graphically help you solve a system of equations? So let's take a look at what we have here first. We have three types of systems of solutions. The first one is one solution. On this one, you can see a green line and a red line. Now on your notes, they'll be in black, but on the screen they are red and green. And you can see that the first one we'll call red has a definite slope. And that slope is, you can measure it from one point to another. So it's up 1 to the right 2. So we have a rise over our run. And our green slope also has a slope, and that's up 2 over 1. 2 over 1. And you can see that these two slopes are different. And when they are different, it causes the lines to cross. And they cross right there. The one solution to these two equations, these two lines, is 1, 1, because they cross at 1, 1 on the graph. This point fulfills the green line and fulfills the red line. It's the only point on the graph that does so. Now, what do we notice about the slopes on these two? Well, they are different. And what do we notice about the y-intercepts? Well, one y-intercept's down here and one's up here. But before we say that they are different, you could, on a graph, have one line coming through a point anywhere and another line coming through at the same exact y point. And they have different slopes. So with the y-intercepts with different slopes, we don't care. So we're just going to write who cares. It does not matter if they're the same or different. They could be either. The next one, you can see the red and green have the same slopes. They are the same. And in fact, their slopes from here to here are up 2, left 3. So that's up 2, left 3, and left is negative. So the slopes for both of these are negative 2/3. Now, right here, their y-intercepts are different. And that's the only way you can get absolutely no solution. These two lines, the red line and the green line, will never cross each other because they have the same slope. And their y-intercepts are different. They'll never cross. They are parallel. And this next one, we see a green and a red slope again. And their slopes, take 2 points, go up 1 over 1. And that's 1 over 1. Their slopes are the same, as well as their y-intercepts are also the same. They're crossing the y-axis at the same point. And those are also the same. So we're comparing the slope m and the y-intercept b of the two lines on each graph. And this is what we have found. We highlight infinite solutions. All right, so now that we know those things, let's learn how to graph these. Now we already learned in 9-5, so this is just a review, and now you are graphing two lines on the same graph. Now your graph might not look like this, but if it doesn't, use what you have. So we have +1 here, and we have -5 here for our b's. And for our slopes, we have nothing here, which is a 1, and a -2 here. So let's go ahead and graph the first equation. It's +1, so it crosses the y-intercept at 1, and our slope is 1 over 1. So we go up 1 and over 1, and we repeat that slope as many times as needed. Remember that 1 over 1 is also equal to -1 over -1, and that means we go down 1 and left 1. And that would make sense because all of our points line up. So we draw our nice straight line, arrows at the top and arrows at the bottom. Now we're going to go for our next equation. Negative 5 is the y-intercept that's down at the bottom, and our slope is negative 2 over 1. Negative 2 over 1. Well, that's not going to work because our graph doesn't go any lower. So that's also equal to 2 over negative 1. So we're going to go up to negative 1. Up to negative 1. You can see that that will be our solution right there because they are crossing because their slopes are different. So we draw our line, make our arrows top and bottom, and you can see that our solution to this system is right there. And our solution is negative 2, negative 1. Let's try another. Let's graph the both. Both of them have b's, so we'll start with the b's, and then we will do the slopes. But notice the slopes as I highlight them. They are the same, and their b's are different. So that's already telling you a clue to what the answer is. So let's go ahead and start the top one. The top one crosses right here at positive 3, and the slope is 3 over 1. Well, I don't have enough room to go up, so that's actually equal to negative 3 over negative 1. So down 3, left 1, down 3, left 1, and I draw my line. With arrows top and bottom, and I move to our second line. It's negative 2 is our y-intercept, and our slope is the same, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, and you can see that when we graph this, they are parallel to each other. That means they will never cross. And we saw it way back up here in the system. So this is a no solution. And in the forms, you would write no solution, all lowercase with no spaces. Number 3. This one we don't have b's, but we know that the b's exist. They're plus 0 and plus 0. So we both have b's. Those are y-intercepts. And they both have slopes. That one's 1 and this one's negative 1. You can't see them, but those ones are there. So let's graph the first one. Our y-intercept is at 0. And our slope is 1 over 1. So we go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Just graph them all the way down. And so we know that this line is going to go right through there. Arrows top and bottom. And then for our second one, we can see that's going to cross right there at 0 as well, but our slope is different. It's negative 1 over 1. So negative 1 over 1. Put our arrows top and bottom, and you can see that their solution is actually at the origin. So the solution is 0, 0. That's a one solution problem. Okay, on this next one, the top one is ready to be graphed. We have a b and we have a slope, but the bottom one is not because we have this negative out in front. To remove that negative, we're going to know there's a 1 here, and we'll divide by negative 1 on both sides. Now we get y is equal to negative 2x plus negative 5. And now we have a nice b here and a slope here. But before you start going, look at the slopes. They are the same, and their b's are also the same. So that might indicate something to you. So we go down here to negative 5 to graph the top one, and our slope is negative 2 over 1, which is also equal to 2 over negative 1. So we'll go up 2, left 1. We'll repeat that slope over and draw our line. Now we'll do our next one, which has the same y-intercept and the same slope. So our line is going to go right on top. Well, when it's right on top, we know that that means infinite solutions. So we write infinite solution. Now if that doesn't work, add an s on the end of your form. Number 5. The top one is ready to go. We have a b and we have a slope. But the bottom one is in standard form, so we need to change it. So let's go ahead and work on that. We need to remove the 4x by adding a negative 4x to both sides. That gives us 2y is equal to negative 4x plus 4. Then we'll divide by 2 on both sides. Sorry about my phone going off. Y is equal to negative 4 divided by 2 is going to be negative 2x, and 4 divided by 2 is going to be 2. Now, unfortunately, I have it right in my graph, but I have a tool that I can use that you don't have. It's my lasso. I'm going to move this work right over here. So if you put it on your graph, I apologize. Okay, so now we have our second equation with a b and a slope. Notice that our two slopes highlighted in green are different, so we know we're going to get a solution. So let's go ahead and graph the top one first at 3. That's our y-intercept, and our slope is negative 1 over 1. So down 1, right 1. Arrows top and bottom. And now let's graph our second one. It's crossing at positive 2, and our slope is negative 2 over 1. So down 2, right 1. Down 2, right 1. Down 2, right 1. So that's going to be crossing right here. And that point on the coordinate plane is negative 1 up 4. Number 6. This one has a 4 for y, so you may want to take a look at make sure your paper does too. And we're going to graph the top one first. Now this one has a b, but it doesn't have a slope. So let's take a look at what that means. From our past lesson, we know when we don't see a slope that the x was probably multiplied by an x. So our b on the top one is 4, and our slope is 0 over 1. Let's graph it. Go up to 4, put your point, and your slope is not going up and not going down at 0, but you're going to go to the right one time and right one time. And that's a flat slope, also known as a 0 slope. Now for x equals negative 2. Now that looks a little bit odd. So let's go ahead and wonder what that is. Before we get into it, notice that this point is exactly 1, 4. And this point right here is exactly 2, 4. And so on and so forth. And if you notice, every one of these points has a 4 as a y. So that might indicate what might happen right here when x is negative 2. Every point should have x as negative 2. Well, what's our y's? They can be anything you want. So since our graph goes up to 5 and down to 5, we're going to say maybe a 4, a 5, a negative 2. You use whatever you would like. Now plot those points. Negative 2, 4, negative 2, 5, negative 2, negative 2. And you can see that we created a vertical line, which is not a function, as we know, but it does have a solution. It crosses at negative 2, 4. All right, these are two interesting questions here. There's something you saw in your last lesson. Actually, hey, you have not seen these yet. I apologize. Let's go ahead and work on these. Both of these give you a nice b, and they give you a nice slope. They are different slopes, so we know there's going to be an answer. They are going to cross. So negative 2, we're going to go down here to negative 2. And then our slope is 2 over 3. So up 2 over 3. We run out of room. So what's equal to 2 over 3? Negative 2 over negative 3. So down 2, left 3. That's enough to graph. Arrows top and bottom. And now we graph the second one. Our b is positive 2, and our slope is negative 1 over 3. So that's down 1 over 3. Down 1 over, well, we don't have enough room, so what's equal to negative 1 over 3? 1 over negative 3. So we're going to go up 1, 3. So that's plenty to graph. And you can see right there that they cross at kind of an abnormal spot. And we don't know exactly what that is. So we're going to hold off on saying what the answer is, and we're going to go look at number 8. Number 8, the top one's missing a b, so let's add a plus 0 for our b. Now they both have b's, and their slopes are both there too, a negative 2 and 5/10 and negative 5 halves. Now one's a decimal, and that doesn't really work. We need a ratio for our slope. So let's change negative 2 and 5/10 into a fraction. To do that, we can just read it, and it says negative 2 and 5/10. So I'll write that as negative 2 and 5/10. Well, that can be translated as negative 2 and a half. And if I multiply the bottom and add the top, I'm getting 5 over 2. And originally it's a negative problem, so it's a negative improper fraction. So look at that. We have the same slope, but we have different b's. Let's graph them. The top one crosses at the origin, and our slope is negative 5 over 2, so down 5 over 2. Another answer for negative 5 over 2 is 5 over negative 2. So we can go up 5, left 2. That gives us a nice little line here. Put arrows top and bottom. Now let's graph the bottom one. The b here is a half. So you go up a half, and then our slope is the same. So we're going to go down, watch how we do this, down 5. Be careful how you do this, because this is one whole, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then over 2. So it's going to be about right there. And then we're going to go up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then over 2, about right there. So we run out of graph, but we have 3 lines. And we put our arrows tops and bottoms. Now, if I zoom in, you can see that they are not on top of each other. That's a no solution. But if I go zoom out, it starts looking like they might be on top of each other. Now, I can still tell that they aren't, so it's hard to tell. And that brings us down to graphing is not absolutely accurate to solve systems because your points could be a little bit off, your lines could not be straight. There's just a lot of things that could go wrong. So what's the problem with this one? Well, it's so hard to tell what the actual point is because it's not crossing over an intersection. We call these intersections on the graph. So we're just going to put unknown for right now. We know there's an answer, but we don't know exactly what it is. And on the right side, we can say, well, it's hard to tell. Or we're going to write down, it's hard to see. And we have something for you the next lesson to help you determine what the solutions are when they're hard to see or they're unknown. Back to the easies. Let's do these two. Pause the video and try number 9. Pause now. All right, you're back and you graph these lines. Take a look at your graphs. Make sure your lines are just like you see on the screen. And what do you notice? Well, the graph isn't quite big enough to see where the lines cross. They cross somewhere up in this land up here. So when the graphs aren't big enough, it's hard to know. So we're just going to say it's hard to know. We don't know exactly, so we're just going to say off graph. The answer is somewhere off the graph. If we had a larger graph, we would know the answer. Pause the video and try number 10. Pause now. All right, here you can see that they are crossing on the graph, so we can have an official answer. It crosses through the intersection 1, -4. Time for your assignment. First name, last name, date, and period. And let's get into this. You're supposed to solve each system of equations by graphing. Now, I want you to look at these very closely before you start your own work and make sure that is what you're seeing. Look at them very closely, all of them. They may have changed. All right. On this one, we have our b's as -1 and +1. They are different y-intercepts, and we also notice that their slopes are different, so we know we're going to get an answer for this. So let's go ahead and start with the top one. We need a x-axis, and we need a y-axis. So we're crossing at -1, and our slope is 1/1. Up 1 and over 1. Put your arrows. Graph the second one. We're crossing at 1, and our slope is -1/1. So that's down 1 to the right 1. Trying to get my line to cooperate with me, and it didn't quite do it. The answer is right here. And so the answer is 1, 0. Let's try number 3. Remember, examine the numbers that you're looking at and make sure that's what your paper says too. All right. Our b's are +2 and -2, and our slopes are 3 and 1. So we know that these are going to have a solution. So we're going to create our y-axis and our x-axis, and we're going to graph the top one at +2. The slope is 3/1. 3 up 1. What's equal to 3 up 1? -3 over -1. So down 3, left 1, down 3, left 1. Draw your line. Put your arrows. And then we're going to do the next one. -2, it's right here. And our slope is 1/1. So up 1/1. Up 1/1. Up 1/1. And so on. So we barely caught the solution right down here. And that solution is -2, -4. Number 5. Go ahead and examine the problem, make sure there's no changes. And then notice that we have a 1 for a b, and we have a +0 for b. And notice also that the slopes are different, so we will have a solution. So the top one is going to be graphed at, need our x's and our y's. All right, going to be graphed at 1, and our slope is 2/1. So go up 2/1. All right, we had a little technical difficulty there. Sorry about the delay. The issues continue. Let's see if we can overcome these issues quickly before the video gives up again. All right, so 2 over 1, we're going to down 2, left 1. Draw our line quick. Then do the second one. Our slope-intercept is, our y-intercept is 0. It's 3 over 1, so up 3 over 1. It looks like that's going to be the answer. 3 over 1 is also equal to negative 3 over negative 1. So down 3, left 1. And that's plenty to graph. And you can see that they cross right here. So the answer here is 1, 3. Then take a look at number 7, our last odd one, making sure that your paper says the same as what you see here on the screen. Okay? And then we can see that this has a plus 0, so now we know our B's, 3 and 0. So we got to add our y-axis and our x-axis. And we're going to go up to 3. And our slope is negative 1 over 1. That means down 1 to the right 1. Arrows. And our second one crosses at 0. And our slope is 2 over 1. So up 2 over 1. Looks like we found the answer already. Right here. So our answer is 1, comma 2, parentheses. Make sure when you're doing your Google Forms you have your parentheses, your comma, no spaces. All right, before we leave, let's make sure that you have all the right numbers on your paper. Is number 2 the same as these? If not, change them to be this. Is number 4 the same as this? If not, change them to be what you see here. Again, number 6, if these are not the same as what's on your paper, change your paper to what these are. And then finally, number 8, if you need to change any of your problems on your paper to be these, change them now. If you don't change them, I know number 6, there is a change for sure. I do remember that one. If you don't change them, you will get the wrong answer.